What up, y'all? It seemed like yesterday everybody was enjoying the post that I had about the game shelf and how board games are a way to connect with people. So I thought it might be fun to go through the game shelf and talk about why these games, why I've kept them. Some of them you'll find out when I get to them. I'll be like, hey, I haven't played that one yet. I heard good things, or I watched a review or whatever, and I just haven't got to play it yet or whatever. But as you can see, that's one shelf. Here's another shelf. There's a partial shelf there, and then another shelf over here. But I think I like to talk, so this might take longer than I think. But we'll start over here and we'll start going. So like Agricola is one of those games that you just got to have in your collection if you like Euro style games. Euro style game is going to be like you're seeing these pieces on the back that are they're more heavily involved. They have usually a longer play time. Like this one tells you it's 90 minutes and it's 12 plus. So there's more rules. It's a bit more complicated. There's some engines to economies, and you really get a real brain test. We played it not too long ago at full player count, and it took quite a while. So that's the way that one goes. Concordia is similar in that it is a game that is going to, and this actually has this is the expansion. So if you just wanted to get Concordia, this is the expansion with all of the expansions in it. It weighs really a lot, but it's another Euro game where you're traveling around the map and you are building houses and expanding territories and swapping over different resources. I love those type of games. For me, they're a lot of fun. That they allow you to try different things, and they're a real brain stressor in the way that they're very strategic. Ethnos is a fun little kind of like a little. It's an area control card drafting thing. It'd be easier if I could just pull this out, but you can tell I'm doing this one-handed because one hand has there we go. So like you've got these areas that you're trying to vie for control of, and then these cards come out and you draft those, and then you can spin them to put in your influence. But then there's some dragons in there, and once the dragons go out, the round ends, so it might end before you get done all the things that you wanted to get done. Really a lot of fun. Pretty simple, more simple game. Very still in that same Euro-y kind of vibe, but quicker and faster. Shorter game. Like you can see, it says 45 to 60 minutes. Potion Explosion. So now if you are a Candy Crush fan, this is going to be your jam. Also, publishers, this is why back of the box is really important. See what I'm using to explain the game to everybody. So you've got this contraption, and the marbles come down, and you pull them, and when you make things connect that are the same color, so if you were to pull that black one right there and those two blue hit, they would explode, and you would get to keep all those as well. And then you're using those marbles to make essentially potion ingredients. And so like you're going to have all these different potions over here that have certain types of colors that you need. And then then they also have an effect. So once they go off, you get to do this cool effect. This is a really, really great game if you like app games on your phone. Like this is a pretty nice correlation. And it's pretty, and it's fun, and it's easy, and it's fast. So that one's a 30-ish minute game. I'll have to fix my shelves after I do all this. City of Gears. I have not actually played this. It is another Euro game. And this is kind of my Euro-y game section, so you're going to get a lot of that on this video. But you've got, I've watched a review video, and I watched a group play it at a convention, and I knew that I wanted it. I just haven't got around to playing it. But lots of strategic playing, things like that. Yes. Travis, Ethnos is so hot. Wish there was an expansion. For sure. Like, it needed more content. I don't know if it just didn't do well enough for them to justify doing more content for it, but I absolutely love that game. And it definitely inspired some of the mechanics that we wanted to pull in, and some of the execution of those mechanics in Wonderland's War. Like with the area control type stuff, because I just loved it. Now, Porta Nigra is one of my favorite underrated games, and underrated is not a fair term because it's ranked really high on BGG as far as like top games of all time, but it was just one of those that people don't talk about. Wolfgang Kramer and Michael Kinsley are phenomenal, just phenomenal designers, and so I love the you're going around Rome and you're building up, you're buying up these, I don't know what they call them, blocks, and then you dump them into the areas that you want to try to score the most points. And one of the things I really like about it is the cards that you have, they have multiple options on them, but you can't do all the options on the cards, and everybody has the same set of cards. And so it's a really easy game to explain, but it has some depth and dimension, and I'm trying to look for it. Yeah, 12 plus, 60 to 90 minutes, 2 to 4 players. I really like it. It's one of my favies, and it's pretty affordable right now because it's been out for a while. Azul, Summer Pavilion. Now, I am going to take some heat here. I bought it, read the instructions, knew that I was going to love it because I've seen all people, because we love Azul. I have it. Regular Azul is right here. We've played the crap out of this. This is one of Parker's favorite games. This is one of the follow-ups to it, and we haven't played it yet. So I'm just going to put it back on the shelf. I know we're going to love it because everybody who's played it said it is like the next awesome step. But I hadn't got around to it. Next up is Fantastic Factories. I love Fantastic Factories. I love the aesthetic. I love the gameplay. It's a dice chunker, so you roll your dice and then you place them. So a dice allocation game, I guess you would call it. So you roll your dice, and then depending on what you get, you place them. And then where you place them on your little board here, your headquarters, you can do different stuff with it. But then you're building out these tableau of cards that give you special abilities. The games are fast, 1 to 5 players, 45 to 60 minutes, 14 plus. Definitely younger can play. I would probably say 10-year-old and up is probably going to be more along this lines. But this is one of my favorite games of last year. Yeah, an absolute classic, Lords of Waterdeep. If you like worker placement, you got to have this game. And I'm not going to flip this box over because everything inside of it will dump out. So I'm not going to show you the back. It is in here. It has the stupidest box top in the history of made games. That right there is the dumbest thing. It was a cool idea, extremely poor execution, does not work functionally, total hot garbage. But in this game, it is in the D&D world, which is not important at all for the game so much. It's just a theme, and it was put out by Wizards of the Coast. But as far as like a great introduction to worker placement, this is the one. I actually have the expansion in here, and you got to have the expansion, Skulls of Skullport, for this game. It makes it. If you're unfamiliar with what a worker placement game is, it's like if you have these little workers, these little meeples, and there's areas that give you stuff on the board, and you send your person to that area, and you get the stuff. And then you use the stuff to do, in this game, quests. And so one of the things that you'll hear me say a lot if you're unfamiliar with what like a worker placement is, it's a lot of fun because you're trying to say, okay, I want this thing, but I need this stuff. Okay, well, there's the 4 places I can get the stuff. Now, how efficiently can I get the stuff so I can do the thing? It's like brain crack. It really is. I probably can't say this correct, but it's Pavilion. It's about butterflies. I have not played it yet. Looking forward to it though. Everdale, love Everdale. It's gorgeous. Got high-end components. It's a fun tableau builder. Again, very similar to say like Fantastic Factories in the fact that you're building out the tableau in front of you, which then give you chains of actions that kind of go together. And then it does have some worker placement where you're putting stuff out onto the areas that you need to get things for. Zolkin, this is probably one of my favorite games too, as far as like heavier games. It's a big 90-minute game, 2 to 4 players. It's got these gears in the middle that turn, and how far you turn it is how much stuff you get, and you do some worker placement, and you're doing some big tableau building. It's super awesome. Imhotep is one of my favorite family games. We've played this a lot. What's great about it is you're putting these little workers out on these boats, and the boats, once they're full, you get to decide which one of these areas they go to. And the areas they go to, you unload the cubes, and where they are unloaded is how many points you get, depending on what each area does. It is so good and so strategic, yet so simple. That's what's great about it. 2 to 4 players, 10 and up, 40-minute playtime. It's probably less than that. I'd say more like 30. Shadows over Camelot is one of it's an older game by today's standards. I think it was like a 2005 maybe. This game is so good, especially for what it did at the time. Now, I think there's a lot of other games that have built on this. Gosh, dog, it's upside down. Okay. Have built upon it, and it's a better job of what it does now, but this is still fun. We still play it because it goes up to 7 players, and there's not many games that go to 7 players. What you'll find in this game, though, it's, Shadows over Camelot, as you might, Knights of the Round Table, and but someone might be a traitor. And so you're supposed to be working as a group to defeat this darkness, this shadows over, the shadows. And so you've got these dragons that are coming, you've got this darkness, and you're all working against it, except one of you might not be. And you don't find out till later. And so it was one of the first games that I ever played that had the traitor mechanic in it. And I thought it was really cool. So I think I'm going to have to put that box back together because, look, it won't close now. So I'll have to fix that after the video. The River. This is a fantastic little worker placement game targeted to families. It's gorgeous. Man, I got to work on putting my box tops on the right way. And a little bit of tableau builder. You get to build some of the areas out as you go. You're building the stuff along. We've played this 3 or 4 times, and actually just seeing it and talking about it, I think I'm going to get it back out again. I may just leave this out because I want to play it again. It's, again, 8 plus, 2 to 4 players, 30 to 45 minutes. This is one of those from Days of Wonder that came out, I think it was about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 spills ago, and it had a little bit of buzz, and then it went away quickly, as the hotness kind of does these days. But this is a phenomenal game. It is really, really satisfying to play. And if you've got a younger family and you like these sort of games, this is a great, great intro for it. So I would definitely recommend checking out The River. Next up, this is one of my favorite games, period. Baron Park. And then I've got the expansion, which I have played with others, but I have not opened our copy yet and played it with the fam yet. But Baron Park is my favorite polyomino Tetris in a board game. You're taking these and you're building out a bear park, and you are trying to get these pieces to fill up all these spaces. When you cover things up, you get new pieces that come to your tableau that you get to use in your following turns, and you're trying to be the person who does it the most efficiently and with the most points by the end of the game. And so 2 to 4 players, 30 to 45 minutes, 8 plus. I would say that's accurate. I recommend this game to anyone, period. If you like Tetris at all, if you like maps, if you like cute animals, if you like scoring points strategically, this game's phenomenal. This is one of, I would put it, it would be highly ranked in all of my top games of all time. Allocats, Michael, I have not played Allocats yet. I've watched a couple people play it, have not done it yet. I'm not going to talk about the stuff at the top here because these are our games, because you obviously, if you follow me on anything, you know this is our first game's bluffing game. Grim Forest, you probably know about. Wonderland's War was Ollie's Kickstarter. Sorcerer City is our cool tile-laying, timed, awesome game that's getting super high marks right now. And this one's on the way to you. Look, I'm sorry, team. Y'all know how big those boxes are? Look at this thing. It absolutely, oh gosh, I'm knocking stuff off. Absolutely dwarfs. This box is enorme. All right, let's go down here. Oh, I gotta go down to one knee. Istanbul, not Constantinople. This is a phenomenal game. It has a pretty unique thing where you take that stack of your workers and it's like a chain. So you're moving down to the next area, and then you take the action at that area. Really cool. Got a cool little economy. Ages 10 and up, 40 to 60 minutes, 2 to 5 players. This is a great game. All right. This one I'm going to talk a lot about because, again, like Baron Park, this is one of my favorite games, period. Broom Service. I absolutely love Broom Service. So this has one of the coolest mechanics in board games. You will be selecting witches into your hand, and these witches are either brave witches or weak witches. And so what happens is if you have to go first on your turn, you might be the only person who chose a yellow witch. And so let's say you lead and you're like, my witch is going to be brave. Well, if you're brave and you're the last witch to be brave, you get a bigger reward. But if anybody after you says they're the brave witch, you get nothing. So you can always go weak and get 1. Or you can say you're brave and get 3. So you have to be like, do I think anybody else still has any of these? And then even if you're after the first person and they say brave, if you're, say, the second player and there's another player after you, you might not say brave because there's still another person to go. And then you find out, like, so it might go like this. First player goes, I'm a brave witch, and they play the yellow witch. The next one goes, nuh-uh, I'm the brave witch. So then they canceled yours, and they've got it. But then the third person, they're like, oh, gosh, should I just went simple? I don't know. And then the third person's like, yeah, I don't have any yellow. And they're like, I could have, It has those great, great moments. And then after you get your resources, it helps you move around the board, and you're like capturing and delivering ingredients and doing different potion making and that sort of thing, which then scores you points. Phenomenal game. If you like board games, 100% recommend this game. It is a hoot. They also have, and I have it right here to my left, off camera, which I'm going to make a mess knocking it off. They have the same game, just in a card game version, which is, it's not as good as the full experience of this, but it gives you that Brave Week breakdown of that action in a card game. But like I said, I would just recommend firstly going with the whole game before that. Sagrada is a great, great game if you like, oh gosh, what is that thing called? Sudoku? Very Sudoku-y. You're rolling dice, and then you're going to place the dice based off color and number, and certain things like you can't have the same colors beside each other, you can't have the same numbers beside each other, and there's different other things that you're having to worry about. There's other powers that kick in. It's a point scoring. It's like Sudoku as a board game, but it's also freaking gorgeous. 1 to 4 players, 30 to 45 minutes, age 13 plus. This is a great game if you like Sudoku. Dice City. This game, I just really like this game. I think it has overall some problems as far as like execution and gameplay. I think there's some things that I would say fix or expand, whatever, right? And they did do some expansions, which I have, which help fix some of the problems of the game. But overall, this game is so much fun. You have this huge board, and it has like a stock of things on it. And then you roll these colored dice, and it's like a grid, and you lay them down. You get to put them in that area, and whatever dice you put on that area, it activates that card. And so, like I said, everybody's player board starts off pretty standard and straightforward, but throughout the game, you can spend resources to get these cards to lay over the standard spots. And so you're like, all right, I'm going to really upgrade this row is my blue row, and whenever I roll a blue dice, I'm going to get any of these really cool things. There's a lot of fun things. It's just a fun game, right? It's just one of those games that it's like, it's not too thinky. I feel like there's a few problems with it, but overall, it's just good. 1 to 4 players, 45 minutes, 14 and up. 14 and up is definitely too high. I play this with Parker a lot. He loves it. We've been playing this one for a couple of years, so I'd say probably 8 plus on this. All right. Jeff says Dice City is such a smart design. I feel like I should like it more than I do. It's okay. Abyss. This is another one of my games that it's pretty highly rated on BGG, but I feel like it doesn't get a lot of love, or it didn't. It kind of came and went really fast, which was weird. I think it was just a year where there were a lot of really, really good board games, which I think was 2015 is when this game came out. I'm pretty sure. This is one of my favorite games to look at. It's one of my favorite games to play. It has a really cool mechanic where you're bidding for these different types of cards and their powers, and you use the power of the factions to buy the influence of these guild masters. So, but what happens, and I haven't seen really, I haven't played every game known to man, so I'm probably missing games that's like this, but like you'll flip this card over, and if it's that red, it's a red 2 right there, right? I have to offer it to the player to my left first. Like, hey, Sandra, do you want the red 2? If she says yes, she has to give me a pearl, which is the currency of the game, and then she takes it. Then every player after that, like she's done for the round. I'll draw another card. Oh, Parker, this is a 3 purple. Do you want it? And he'll say, yes, I want it, but now it costs 2 pearls, and he pays me. So that's how I get money. So then if that was the 3 players, then I'm pretty much just choosing anything that I want until the end, and it ends at 5. So you're like, people are like, no, I don't want that, no, I don't want that, and then all the stuff gets put here, and then they go into these piles. A player on their turn can be like, I choose not to do this. I'll just take all the red cards that have been left there. Because you can just take all of those and then spin those on how you want to get one of these guild masters. The guild masters are worth points, and then they also give you powers. This game is really, really, really good. I've bought I think the base game is great. They do have 2 expansions. I do like them, but the expansions do make the game a little more cumbersome. There's a lot more stuff to think about. It's not quite as fluid. So I don't think the expansions, if you're playing this with family, are necessary. If you're playing it with your game group who enjoys a deeper experience, then that's fine. Hey, Jeff, I'm doing my job. I'm helping people sell board games. Okay. Legendary. This is the deck builder. Well, it's not Dominion, which I have somewhere in this collection, but it is one of the best deck builders ever made. Especially because of the Marvel theming. But if you don't know what a deck builder is, and I probably just dumped everything everywhere inside this box, because it's one of those boxes that has 1 million cards. A deck builder is when you start off with a standard set of cards that may say, like, I have some currency and I have some attack power. And so you shuffle them all up, you put them face down, you draw 5, bloop, 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 and it might say, cool, this one gives you 1 money, 1 money, 1 money, 1 attack, 1 attack. So I have 3 money and 2 attack. And then you'll look at the things that are out on the board and you're like, can I take anything out with my 2 attack? No. Okay, but I have 3 money. So I can go to the market and I can buy new, more powerful cards to put into my deck. And then the next time I shuffle up and I draw those out, I won't get these janky 1 attack powers and 1 money. I'll get something really cool that has better powers or does something. It's really, really satisfying to take the cards in the path that you want to take as far as like what you're buying to upgrade your deck and put it into your deck. It's really, really satisfying. And speaking of deck builders, this is a game that came out on Kickstarter. I don't know that everybody got their hands on it or knew much about it. This is one of the most gorgeous, fun, inventive Kickstarter games that you probably have never heard of. Direwild does this have a back? Okay, it does. Is phenomenal. It's fantastic. Like I said, it's cooperative. It's like an adventure board game where all the different characters, and we're trying to take down, I forget what the bad guy's name is, but we're taking down this bad guy and his minions. But we're deck building, like I was just telling you about with the other one, but the way that they do it is you get to combine all your cards and make this really cool, they kind of form together to make these really super cute animals, or sometimes not so cute animals, but like there's puppies and there's cats and there's turtles. But it essentially is a dungeon crawl where you're got the baddies that are coming after your group and you're having to move around and try to outflank them, outwork them. It has a really, really neat system on how all that works with the enemy AI and wounds, and it's just really good. And then all the character art and stuff, I don't know if you can tell from this, it's just gorgeous. The game's gorgeous, got a great feel. I highly recommend if you like deck builders, you like moving around and doing something different with the actions that the deck gives you. I wanted that art facing out because it's pretty. I would highly recommend checking out Direwild if you can. Oh, goodness. That legendary box is so heavy. Adrenaline. Let's talk about Adrenaline. Again, fantastic game. Phenomenal game. This is a first-person shooter as a board game. So if you've got teenagers that like Fortnite, they like Overwatch, they like any of the first-person shooter games that are out there on the market, this is a great game to get and play with them. I've played it with Parker. He absolutely loves it. You have a character. You get to buy special weapons. You're moving around and you're like shooting each other on this map. And it's very similar. Like you're doing all this damage. Whoever does the most damage gets a reward on a character. Whoever gets the last shot on a character gets a reward. So, and then there's this skull system that just like it keeps a counter that the game's continually counting down. So Adrenaline is like your version of a first-person shooter. Highly recommend this one, especially if you have teenagers in the house. They will like it. Thanos Rising. This is a phenomenal game by our friends over at the Op, formerly USAopoly. And essentially you're chunking a bunch of dice. It's like Yahtzee, kind of. So you're doing some symbol matching. You're trying to rescue heroes and add them to your team while also knocking out the baddies before Thanos gets all the gemstones that he'll for the Infinity Gauntlet and wins. So it's so if you've got a family that isn't very good at they're too competitive, this is a great game because it's co-op. So our co-op games are going to be what I say for those families who have maybe some kids that don't take losing very well. So then you either all win together or you lose together. Fantastic game. Very thematic. Get to chunk some dice. Easy to learn. That's Thanos Rising. Karuba. I love this game. Rudiger Dorn is phenomenal designer. And it was a spiel. Did it win? No, just a nominee, I think. Back when it came out. So what's really cool about this game is everybody gets the same map, right? And everybody is working off the same goals, like as far as like where the placement of the things are. And so everybody starts at the exact same spot. And then you call out a number, like somebody will flip the thing over and they'll say, I don't know if you can see it, let's see, 9. So everybody finds their 9 tile. But imagine that's empty. They'll place the 9 tile anywhere they want on their map. Well, so maybe the player to the left of you picks the same spot as you do. But over the course of all, I think it's 30 some odd tiles coming out, even though they all came out in the same order, we all had the same thing, we all end up with very, very different results. And it's really cool, and it's very easy to play. It's a very relaxing game. This is one we can actually load up on Zoom, and if you have a copy at home, you could get it set up, and we could literally all play it together, 150 of us, just sitting there playing Karuba if you've got it. So I would check that out. I love it. It's a great game for the kids. All right. You probably heard that hit the floor. This is Dinosaur Island. Worker placement, heavier worker placement. So this is going to be for my strategic fans, people who want a 2-hour game with a lot going on. One of the things, this is one of my favorite pieces of content that I ever made. If you go back to the Board Game Spotlight YouTube channel and check out the video I made for this, it was very vlog style. It was back when I was experimenting with a lot of stuff. I love this video, but it was a lot of fun. I love this game. It's fun. You're building a dinosaur park. You are worker placement, so you're sending your workers out to get the resources and do the stuff that you want, which then managing your board over here, and then you're trying to build out these paddocks, make these dinosaurs in there, and or genetically make them. You're also using a lot of these cool dice, and there's a threat system because you can't have too much threat in your dinosaur park. It's pretty much Jurassic Park, the board game. I love it. It's great, and I love this art. It's so neat looking. That's Dinosaur Island. Okay, let's talk about you're about to get a couple of my favorite games right here. Orleans is a top 5 game for me, period. Just one of my favorite games to play ever. It is a bag builder. So what that means is we all have this board that we can, like this says, to make another farmer, you need a blue and a brown. And so what happens is you've got all these little chits and they're chips out here, and they go into a bag, which I don't know how this is a bag builder, and on the back of the box they didn't put a bag, but everybody has a bag that you can't see. And so on your turn you might be able to reach in and you can take out 5. So you take out 5 chips, you put them in your little market down here, and that's what you have to work with to make stuff for the round. So you might be like, I could put a brown and a blue here, but then I need a blue. I really want to make a knight, and it needs a white, a blue, and a black, but I only have one blue. So which one do I want to do this turn? Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. Next turn, I'm making a blue so I can pull it from this market, which then moves you up these tracks, which give you extra bonuses. But you're like, then I get to put that blue into my bag. So it's like a deck builder, kind of like we were talking about of here with the cards, the deck builders, but it's a deck builder using chips in a bag. So it's just a different execution of that I feel is a bit more satisfying. It's again, this is another big inspiration for us on Wonderland's War, as far as we really wanted that bag building mechanic. It was just a lot of fun. Orleans. I'm not going to show out the big expansions right there, but that's I still haven't played it, and here's why I have not played the Invasion. The Invasion expansion turns Orleans into a cooperative game, which I just want to play it. I want all that content. I just haven't got to it because every time I want to play Orleans, I'm like, ooh, I want to play Orleans. I just want to play what I already love. So I haven't got around to actually playing that. And it's not because I don't want to. Now, this is one ugly, ugly board game. It's just ugly, but it's real good. Carpe Diem is a game where, oh God, this back of the box, awful, so awful. That is just awful. How do they even sell these things? You take, it's essentially a map, and you're taking these little pieces that have different layouts on them, and there's these lines, and see, like, this will come onto your map, and these 4 map pieces connect uniquely each time, like a puzzle piece. And so every time you play, it's a little different. But this is saying it wants, just for the simplicity of explaining, across this line, this you need to connect the white pieces. And across this line, it needs these orange pieces like this player has done. And so if you can make those 2 things connect and breaks that plane, you're going to get the end of the game victory points. So as you're drafting these pieces from the board, you're like, okay, I really need a blue piece to help me break this thing that gets me this. But then when you close them all in at the end of the round, there's ways that you score points. It's actually pretty simple. It's a 45-minute to an hour-ish game, I'd say. 10 plus is about right. I don't know, 3 out of 10 on the weight. I've never seen anybody put that on there, but that's kind of neat. 2 to 4 players. I love this game. I play the junk out of this game, even though it's ugly, and some of the graphic design on it's hot garbage. Champions of Midgard. One of my favorite. Oh Lord, this is a big box. One of my favorite, absolute favorite, dice rolling worker placement games. Let's see if I can show you this. This is the big box that has the base game and the expansions. And so it doesn't have a real good thing on the back. Anyway, you are building up Viking groups to go out and conquer monsters and sea creatures. You'll do your worker placement as far as sending stuff out and collecting, and then at the end of the round, if you send out any expeditions to fight monsters, you take the dice that you have and you allocate them, and you roll them and you try to beat these monster setups. Is there a monster here somewhere that I could show you an example? Yeah. So like this little guy right here, the Vile Priest, he needs he needs 4. You gotta hit him 4 times. Is that what it is? I forget. He's worth 12 points. Yeah, you need 4 hits. So depending on the Vikings that you send... No, that's not right. Yeah, it is. That's right. So you need to roll out 4 hits. So you might be like, I have 3 dice, and 2 of them have crit hits, which is like 2 hits each, and then 1. So I've got I'm gonna chance it. Or you might load up like 5 or 6 dice that have a lot, and you're like, okay, I'm definitely going to be able to probably get 4 hits on this guy. So, it's just a really, really fun and thematic game that, Jeff, to your point, is not ugly. It is not an ugly game. I love this game, and I love the way it looks. I'm going to have to put my whole game... I'm just going to leave stuff laying out on the floor. I have to put it all back together when I'm done with this. Cool. 2 more rows to go. I'll try to speed up. Or I don't know, maybe y'all like this, but I feel like I've been doing it in a while. Viticulture is one of our favorite worker placement games from Jamie Stegmaier. It might be my favorite game of his. I know it's definitely my most played game of Stonemaier games. I really, really like it. I like the theme. I like how chill and relaxed it is. You're building vineyards. You're putting your workers out. You're just trying to score points. The first person to score 20 ends the game. Takes about 45 to 60 minutes, I'd say, is about right. 13 plus, yeah, you're 10. I play it with Parker now. He's 11. He likes it. But yeah, you're definitely, you have to build out your fields, and you are trying to, you gotta plant your grapevines. You gotta pull them and put them and smush them, I Love Lucy style, and then use the grape juice to turn them into wine, and then you turn in the wine to get orders that score points. And again, it's one of those. It's gig really is you've got summer and you've got winter, and so when you place stuff over here, if you in a single year, you can use all of your workers in the summer, but then you won't have any to place in the winter. And you can't go back, and so you have to kind of plan that out. You're like, okay, cool. I'm going to use 2 here. I'm going to use 2 here. I'm going to use all 4 this year over here and just really stock up and get stuff done. It just really depends. I am definitely not pulling Eclipse off the shelf because those boxes are real heavy. Eclipse is what we call a 4X game. You explore, you exploit, you expand, and you Exterminate, I think that's the fourth. But essentially, you're building up your space empire to move out and really conquer the different planets and pull out the resources and upgrade your ships, and you battle each other. Really long, fun, awesome game if you like big strategic space goodness. This is the old version. They have a new version that came out. Brass Birmingham. I bought it just because it's pretty. No, I bought it because I love Gavin and his team, and I have yet to play it. I am such a tool. It looks phenomenal. It's a big, heavy Euro game with lots of industry type stuff and resources, and there's some clay chips in here that make this box so heavy. I just haven't got around to playing it. I need to. It's on the list. I can't get that one back in there. Whistle Stop from our boy Scott Caputo, who did, you guessed it, Sorcerer City. This game is phenomenal. I love it. It is so much fun. You're connecting these different routes, and you're using the cubes and the different things you're trying to get from one side of the map all the way to the other, which then also give you points. But as you can see, you can kind of wiggle your way around and collect things. It's just, but you're laying all these tiles down. It's so good. And if you like trains, totally awesome. I don't have the expansion, but this is about right. 2 to 5, 75 minutes, 14 plus. It seems about right. I think, I haven't played this one with Parker, but he could totally play it. So, Whistle Stop. El Dorado. Really like this game. This game is, again, a deck builder that's doing stuff. So, let's see here. You will, most of your deck building stuff moves you across different types of terrain, and then at what speed you can move across them. And so you start out being able to move really slow, but then you can go to the market and buy upgrades, which then let your little explorer person really haul butt. Really strategic, easy to play. They say 10 to 99, 2 to 4 players, 60 minutes. That sounds about right. Anytime you see this, that it was nominated for a Spiel des Jahres, that means it's a pretty stinking good game, because the German folk, they take their board games very seriously. Terra Mystica is one of those old, well, I'll say old in the today's standard, but this is a big, complicated, heavy Euro with a lot going on and lots of mechanics. It's got one of the cool systems of this is your player board, and as you build these things and take them off your board and put them onto the main board, the things underneath are unlocked. That is a real cool mechanic that I've always loved in games, where you're like, cool, I'm building this thing, which gives me a benefit out here, but then I also unlock the economy or the thing underneath it. Terra Mystica, really good. In my years of having it, I've only probably played it like 3 or 4 times, but I really enjoy it every time. It is longer and heavier. What did I say? It says 30 minutes per player. I feel like that's a lie. It's probably more like 45 minutes a player. All right. Dice Forge. Dice Forge is a really, really neat game that builds on that whole idea of deck building, but you're doing it with customizable dice. So those dice are plastic, and you'll see those faces, they pop off, and you can replace them with the market pieces up here. So you're upgrading your dice. One of the main things that I really love about this game, especially good for families, is that there is zero downtime in this game. So when it's my turn, I'm the active player. We all roll our dice and collect the resources on our dice. So everybody will move those up on their little counters on their own board. But on my turn, I have the option of either buying from this market or buying one of these cards that give me an ability or in-game points. Then, once I've done that, it's your turn. We all still roll our dice. So every turn, you're always rolling your dice. That feels really satisfying. Dice Forge is fantastic. Got family at home, that's a good one to have. All right. Path of Light and Shadow. One of the coolest covers. Thank you, Beth Sobel. You're super talented. This game is, to me, is one of those underrated games that people just don't talk about enough. It was hot when it came out for a hot minute, and then it faded away quickly because, again, it was, I think, another one of those years that had a lot of really cool stuff going on. This game has so much going on. 60 to 120 minutes. It's got some deck building elements. It's got some area control elements where you're out fighting over these different areas. It's got some real cool components where as you build up your strongholds or they get beat down, you pick those up, take them down. I love this game. One of the really cool things too is it has a track of good and evil. So you get bonuses based off, are you taking evil actions or good actions? And then it's just got the different factions of these cards that you can build out each game. So each game feels pretty unique. I really love this game. I wish I could play it more. I need to play it more. All right, Seven Wonders. This is a modern day classic, as you'll see on this. It has it won a whole bunch of awards. It's one of the few games that can play 7 players. There's still a strategic game and a party game. You're pretty much just drafting cards and trying to build combos that make you the most efficient. So, like, if you need more than 30 international awards, and this is an older version. I bet there's one more since then. It's got 1 billion expansions too, so lots of content. Drafting is a cool thing. So, like, you'll get handed this hand of cards. You pick the one that you want. You pass it to the player to the left. The player to your right is passing you a hand of cards, and you've got the choices of the cards they didn't pick. What usually happens is you look at that hand of cards. You're like, man, I could make 3 of those things really work well. I'd really like to have that. But you only get to pick one, and then you got to pass it. So, you're trying to make all the efficient picks that you can, because a lot of these things stack and combo and help you build out whatever your plan is. Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. This is definitely, as you can see, I've had it a while. The box has had some wear and tear on it. This is one of my favorite party games. It is just so good. What you're doing is everybody's given a hidden role, right? And one of the people there, most people are going to be investigators from the police, but one of the players is the murderer. And you've got evidence and you've got clues in front of you, like, so 4 cards of each right in front of you. And then there's one person who is I forget what they're called. They are I forget, what is it? It's a name I'm looking. Forensic scientists. And so the forensic scientist is giving clues, but they can't talk. And so everybody puts their head down, closes their eyes, and whoever the murderer is raises their head. And the forensic scientist is like, okay, show me how you did it. And so they pick one piece of evidence, or like their motivation or whatever it is. I forget what these are called. And then the murder weapon. So it's like boom and boom. So then everybody else, like the forensic scientist, can give these clues to everybody else at the table. So everybody puts their heads up. The forensic scientist, like I said, cannot talk, but like they'll put so you got this like location of crime thing. And so it's, bookstore, pub, restaurant, hotel, hospital, building site. So since if they would have pointed to skull, I might put the clue on hospital. So then everybody's looking at what everybody has in front of them and trying to see how the items in front of them might pertain to the clue that I just gave. And man, you're talking about like it's hilarious to watch, because you know who the murderer is if you're the forensic scientist, and watching them trying to throw people off the trail, and you're like, oh, what about that over there? And then so anyway, once you give all these clues out, people can use their badge and they can try to name the murderer. And if they name the murderer and then they peg the 2 pieces, they win. If they don't, the murderer gets away. It's really fun. It's a lot of fun. What about this one right here? Okay. Whew, I'm running out of steam, y'all. I might have to save the bottom row, or they might have to get really... How about I do them like this? Unfair is a really cool theme park builder with gorgeous art from Mr. Cuddington and team, and Joel and Kate Finch, which is our team. You are building amusement parks, and you're building really cool rides, and it's like a tableau builder, tableau being like the cards in front of you. There is highly themed and tons of fun. Check that one out. Harry Potter deck builder, the Battle of Hogwarts. It is a great little game where you're trying to defeat the different books of the Harry Potter universe and the different villains. So very similar, like Legendary or some of these other deck builders I was talking about, where you are building up the deck of cards in your hand to do more powerful things and defeat the villains in its own system. Really good. Very thematic. Very good. The Cure and Pandemic. I'll cover both of these. These are the classic pandemics. So very timely right now, right? There's contagions going around the world. You have to eradicate them. This is a co-op, and you are playing as a team, so you either win together or lose together. My preference is The Cure. I like it better as far as the way that it works. It's dice, and they go into these little regions, and to me, it's just a faster, cleaner version of the game. Even though this is, I say cleaner, it's just my preferred way of playing it. This is like This is a classic. You should, if you like board games, you should own this game. This game is something you and your family should play. Drop it. What a fun dexterity game. You've got this thing, and everybody has these pieces, and you're dropping them in, and it can't touch a piece of the same color or the same shape. So you're trying to drop it where it's going to fall uniquely, and then you score points for each drop. Super simple, tons of fun, great game to have just for like chilling out. London. This is an old school. I say old school. This is a reprint of an older version of it, but essentially it's a tableau builder. So you're using money and you're buying up cards, and you are trying to get the most efficient system in place and score the most points at the end of the game. I love it. It's a cool little game. I love this package where it looks and feels like a book. Wow. It's a fun game. Expand City. You know what? This is I'm gonna admit this is on my shelf of shame. I took it out, read it, never got around to playing it. It's got all these cool pieces where you're building skyscrapers and you're laying things down. I need to get it played. You know, in fact, I may just set this to the side. I may get that played this week. Betrayal House on the Hill is one of those classic games that everybody should play. What's great about this game is every game's different. I remember the first time I played this, and I remember that this experience changed the way. It was one of the first games I played when I was getting into board games. You were all together. We're going in and investigating this haunted house, and we're laying out as we explore. You know, these different rooms come out, and we're building the map together. But as you're playing, you have to do these haunt rolls, and anyone on your team can get the haunt. And so let's say that triggers. So you've been laying stuff out. Everybody's been getting different items and different loot, that sort of thing. We've been discovering different things. Then someone ends up being essentially, let's just say it's corrupted. And so they get this book, right? And they go into the other room, and the rest of the team gets a book. And let's say it's scenario 33. So we both each individually read our scenario. Now that you're the haunted, you have a whole new system that you're trying to do to win the game. And you're on your own, and you know that scenario. And the other team doesn't know it. It was such a novel idea at the time for this. It's so cool how that executes. So if you've never played it, it is a very unique way to play a board game. You'll need a decent sized fam jam to pull it off in quarantine. What is it? You need at least 3 players, I think. I think it's at least this is an old school box. It doesn't even have player counts and stuff on it. I think you need at least 3 players for this, but it plays better with bigger groups, like 4 or 5. So anyway, Betrayal. It's a classic. Love it. Raja of the Ganja. I think I said that right. This is a really cool heavy Euro game, dice chunking. I'm not going to really get into it. If you like it, I would suggest getting it. It's a lot of fun. Five Tribes is one of those games, again, one of those classic games that, again, is very different in the way that it plays. So that's one of the things I really like about board games, if they do something different. So like all these meeples go out, and you're trying to chain together where how far you can get across by picking up the meeples in the same like line of things. And so I will say it is a little bit AP inducing, analysis paralysis. So if you're unfamiliar with that term, it'd be like, okay, I could do this, this, and this, and this. That would give me this. Or I could go this, and this, and that give me this. So it can kind of wear you out on that as that's concerned. But I haven't played this in a long time. I actually kind of want to play it. I think Parker and Sandra would really like this one. I don't know if I've ever actually played this one with them. But that's Five Tribes. Power Grid. This was the game that got me into board gaming, y'all. This is the first game I played. It's an economy, efficiency driven. You're just trying to power up your power plants, spend your money, get the most points type of thing. But it's a really great economic game that it's a lot of fun. Yeah. I don't have much to say about it other than it's good, and I think there's other games that do what it does now better because it is fairly old, but yeah, it's great. Century Spice Road and Eastern Wonders. These are 2 of the same in the same line. These you are using. It's a real simple game. You have cards in your hand. You use those cards. You play them down, and you You get to pull in those resources. Those resources get pulled in to buy cards, and they give you points that you're trying to get, and then you can purchase more cards to add to your hand. It's really simple. It takes about 5 minutes to explain. It says 30 to 45 minutes. That's true. I really like it. Actually, Eastern Wonders, I have it. It's the next game. It's a really cool system, right? That this game is its own separate game, but then you can actually combine it with this game, and they play together. And you can use the cards from this to add a whole other layer into this. But this is its own game on its own. And I still actually haven't played it. Sorry, Mike, if you're watching this. That's my bad. Same thing with Blue Lagoon. It's one of those that I got, was excited to play it, and then read the rules, watched the videos, never actually got around to playing it. Gizmos, totally love this game. It's very, kind of like the next line from the Potion Explosion game up there that I showed you earlier. This one is in that same thing. It's got the marbles and the things that come out, but this one's a bit more in depth as far as like you're really trying to get these combos together on your board to fire off certain things. And there's different categories, right? As you can see, everybody has the same categories that you can get, but how you build out your tableau chains together reactions. And so these gizmos is what you're building, give you chains to either get you more resources or score you more points. And it's a real thinky, lot of fun, but it's a shorter game, so it's still in that 40-minute range for 2 to 4 players. All right, and the last little bit. This is an expansion of Dice Forge that I showed you a minute ago, so I don't need to talk about it. It just gives you more stuff to play. King of Tokyo, one of those games that you have to have in your collection. It is, monsters are taking over Tokyo. This is Yahtzee in a box. You're chunking these dice. You're trying to get these resources, and either one of two things. You're trying to score 20 points first and be the winner, or you're trying to knock out the health of all the other monsters and be the last monster standing. If you can do that, it's so good. This is a great game. It says 8+. Stella plays this with us. She loves it. You can play this with 6, 7-year-olds, no problem. I recommend everybody have the copy of King of Tokyo in their collection. My Little Scythe is from Stonemaier Games. It is the kids' version of Scythe, and I got mine signed by the designer, Hobby Shu. It's just a kids' version of it. We've played it with the kids a couple times. They like it. It's like taking that deep, more thematic Euro game and bringing it down some notches so that kids enjoy it, and it does that really well. Takanoko. I don't know if I said that. I'm pretty sure I said that right. The cutest art, some of the cutest art in gaming. Antoine Bauza as the designer. You're moving around and you're chomping down on this bamboo. You're building up these water parts. I haven't actually played this in so long. It's fun. I've enjoyed going through my collection because now I kind of want to play this game. I have not played it in a bit, that's for sure. But yeah, you get to build out the map together. All these bamboo shoots get added. You're just trying to score the most points and make the most connections. It's a very simple game. Where's the player count? 8+, 2 to 4, 45 minutes, and it looks good. All right, that was Kallex number 1. I think maybe next week I'll do this Kallex, which has. Let me back it up. This has at the top. It's got some of my favorite games. It's got some Lord of Hellas. This has a heavy RPG choose your own adventure selection in it, so that would be fun to talk about. And then down here at the bottom has a bunch of family games and a bunch of party games. So that's kind of the preview for that shelf. All right. I'll go back into the comments and answer any questions if there was something to check out. But thanks for watching, y'all. Play board games. Bye.